Once more into the breach, eh? I am in the process of retrofitting my Jeep TJ with air conditioning. Did not come with air conditioning when I bought it, and now that I'm living in a warmer climate, air conditioning is really a must for those days when the rag top is on and it's raining and it's blazing hot, or just because it's blazing hot, whatever. I need air conditioning in this car. So I thought that I would be smart, and purchase an AC ready Airbox off the wonderful wide world of the internet, eBay. And there was a parts guy there, an obvious parts guy, selling an Airbox in, quote, excellent condition, unquote. And the picture on the eBay sale was, looked like it was brand new. They certainly dolled it up for the picture. And then instead of sending me what was pictured, they sent me this piece of garbage. And I got into a big fight with the eBayer, but in the end, I determined that it was too big of a pain in the ass to ship this back. So he just gave me a discount off what I paid for this excellent condition Airbox, and we went our separate ways. And little did I know before I opened this box up just how far away from excellent condition this box was. First, we'll go here. This is the connector for the resistor. It is melted and has to be replaced. It cannot be reused. I don't know if you can see that, but one of the wires has got some of the insulation burned off. The Airbox in the car, I'm gonna take that resistor connector and cut it off and solder that one onto here. So fortunately I have that option, otherwise I'd have to go to a junkyard or whatever to get another connector. And over here, just to show you the evaporator that was in this Airbox, obviously totally shot. So I had intended on replacing the evaporator and the heater core just to be safe, since it's such a terrible job to get this Airbox out of the Jeep. So I wanted it all new anyway, but still it kind of sticks in my craw, so to speak, that this thing was billed as excellent condition, and it wasn't. Another problem that I had with this particular Airbox, because the evaporator was obviously leaking, and probably for a long time, the entire interior of this Airbox was coated with an oily, grimy mess. So I had to scrub every nook and cranny, of which you can see there are many. So it took me hours and hours of cleaning with some simple green and rags and paper towels to clean the interior of this Airbox out. Big job, total pain in the ass. Certainly glad that I did it, and certainly glad that I originally had planned to replace the evaporator and the heater core, and that forced me to open the box and discover that the box was absolutely filthy inside. One of the things I just wanted to point out is there's lots of stuff in here, moving parts and whatnot. All of these flaps, like as in, for instance, this one, the ones that I could take off, I removed and I washed them. This part I took off and forgot where it went, which wasn't too smart, but eventually I figured out where it goes. This is where the blower mounts. I'm sure the blower that came with this unit is shot, but I'm just going to swap out the blower that's already in my car, because that one is near new. These little plastic tabs at the very end of this half of the shell were broken, so I've got them glued up with JB Weld that's currently curing. And so I also found that this flap, for some reason, gets hung up on this ring. I trimmed it a little bit to improve it. It's still rubbing, but at least it's moving, so I'm going to leave it in that way. I think it'll be okay. And on the other side, over here, on the matching or on the other side of the shell, this piece here comes out. There are two little tabs. As you can see, I just popped it out. There's foam that's been glued all the way around this part that was peeling up and delaminating, I guess may not be the accurate term, but the foam stuff around it was all peeling up, so I just took some super glue and glued all around the perimeter to re-secure the foam for that part that comes out. And again, of course, I washed it in the sink. Over here we have a couple of these articulating flaps. These I did not remove because it was too difficult. I didn't want to break anything because you have to take the plastic off on the opposite side, and they do come off. I took a stab at it and they would not readily come off, and I didn't want to break anything, so I just left them on and washed them in place. And then there is another flap down here, this one, and I also did not remove that. I don't know if you can see it. Put my finger on it and zoom in a little bit. That's supposed to be, can you focus please? That's supposed to be, the end of the part on the outside of the box that will come out, a shaft, if you will. It would not come out, and the reason I tried to get that out is because, well, you can't see it, but the little hook that goes on that part is broken off. And although I haven't fixed it yet, I'm going to just use either a sheet metal or a wood screw with a nut on the end to replace that with. But again, I washed this all by hand to clean it up. I also lubricated the joints a little bit with, come on, focus. Are you focused? With this stuff, it's supposed to be plastic safe. It's an oil, not a grease. It does look like these ends on these flaps were greased at some point, but by the time I opened this thing up, it was all dried up, and I washed it off. So that oil may not last for long, but at least it'll last for a little while and let me at least burn this Airbox in once it's installed. In addition, I removed these vacuum actuators, the ones that are not plastic, and I cleaned them up because they were corroded on the exterior. I used Rust-Oleum rust dissolver on these, and although it did do some staining, it did remove all the corrosion, so that was kind of for aesthetics. Again, excellent condition, really. When your parts are corroded, your connectors are fried, your condenser is leaking, it hasn't worked in probably years, and you're going to sell this to me in excellent condition? The guy was a clown. So buyer beware of eBay part sellers. Again, you see how big this thing is. It would have been a total pain in the butt to box it up and ship it back. When I got my discount refund from this guy for this not being in excellent condition, because he knew I had them, he sent me a box. It was not as described, and right there and then I could have canceled the transaction, no questions asked from eBay. But the box came in. They had rags stuffed in the evaporator. All of the oil leaked out of the rags all over the box. I couldn't reuse the box, etc. and so forth. So he gave me, I don't remember what it was, 50 or 70 bucks off the listed price, and even that was not enough once I opened this thing up and realized that this thing was in the most kindest possible way, fair condition at best. Anyway, I had to cut off the gasket. There's a gasket that goes around here on both sides, and so I got a replacement, and that is the replacement part number, and I think this came from Mopar Genuine Parts or Mopar Parts or something like that. Anyway, this is the new gaskets for the blower, and then this gasket goes around the drain. This gasket is for the output right here of the condenser, or the evaporator rather, and the heater core. And as you can see, the original gasket here is pretty beat up. So this was actually the most expensive part. The evaporator and the heater core did not cost a hell of a lot of money. They were not expensive at all. And these gaskets were, this kit is 61 bucks. And that's, I believe, more than either the condenser or the heater core cost me. So I also wanted to just give you a chance to see all of these different flaps. This one goes here. It can only go in one way because on the other side it's slotted. And also there's another part. Let me take the heater core out if I can, one-handed. You may have already seen it shift. This took a little bit of doing for me to figure out how it goes back on, but this part comes off. It just popped off when I originally took the heater core out, and it was just flopping around, and it took me a little while to figure out how that goes back in, but that is its orientation. So hopefully the lighting is not so bad that you can't see that. So that goes in like that. And then the heater core just slides in and is held in place more or less with friction. One thing I will point out, and I'll do a follow-up once I'm ready to put the two halves back together. I'm not so sure about this bracket here with a threaded hole in it. I think the way that I see it, there are a couple tabs here. This bracket may have been welded on here off its orientation. The original heater core came with a removable bracket, and if this thing is in the wrong place, I may have to cut it off and use this instead. So not sure what the rationale was behind this aftermarket fabricator welding that in place, but it may be a problem. We're going to find out, and if it is a problem, I'll do a follow-up segment to show you how I solve that if I need to. So that's kind of it. I just wanted to give you a few hints and tips and tricks, if you will, of how all of these various flaps go and whatnot. In case you get lost on your own project, take too many things off and forget how they go back together. You know, good luck. Hopefully this was of some moderate usage to you, and if you're doing the same thing, I hope it works out well for you. I'll see you later. Bye. Okay, sorry if the camera's a little jerky, but you can see that welded bracket. It's definitely in the wrong position, so I'm going to have to cut that thing off and get the old bracket and put it where it should be. So that's the challenge of dealing with aftermarket parts. You can't get a Mopar made heater core at this point, so you have to go with an aftermarket, and in this particular case the aftermarket vendor got the bracket placement wrong. Oh well, onward and upward. I'm back. A couple of additional points that I didn't make before. First of all, in terms of the internal parts for the Airbox, as you can see, I've got the box back together, both halves. This ring inside here, if that, you know, kind of pops off and is just lying around loose, that's, now you know where it goes. It only goes one way, because if you turn it the other way so that this lip is facing inward, then this door can't open, so it only goes one direction. That's where the resistor sits, I've replaced the resistor because, as you saw earlier, the resistor was shorted out and damaged the wire harness. I've done a little bit of repair. This thin wall that follows the outline of the blower was coming apart. I still have some more epoxying to do up here because it's also detached up here, but I wanted to anchor it before I did that. So this is now all hardened and secure, so I'll just walk that epoxy up here to keep it from peeling off, so to speak. And oh, there's another loose section, unfortunately. Excellent condition, people. Excellent condition. What a fucking jackass. I guess, but maybe I'm the bigger jackass for not sending this back. Excellent condition. Some damage over here in shipping that I didn't notice. Fortunately, that plastic piece did drop out of the box when I first opened it. I couldn't figure out where it went. So now I figured it out and I epoxied it back in, although it's kind of not really serving any purpose. There was a screw up here, but now this part definitely will not hold a screw. So I'm going to leave the screw off. The new evaporator and heater core is in. For the heater core, not epoxy, this thing was brazed on, this bracket, and as I mentioned before, it was in the wrong place, or I suspected it was in the wrong place. Well, it was. I don't know if the lighting is all messed up here. But anyway, I took a torch to it and melted the solder because it was soldered on, brazed on, I guess, and used the old bracket and successfully positioned it so that I was able to put the screw back in. So this is where the bracket goes. Now the bracket, the original bracket was steel, and this is aluminum. So to mitigate any kind of corrosion issue between steel and aluminum, because that bracket is similar to this, where it hooks around both tubes to secure them. All I did was I took some electrical tape and I wrapped it around both tubes, and then put the replacement for this clamp on, and that's how I insulated, if you will, the steel bracket from the aluminum tubes, so that there won't be any galvanic action between the two, and hopefully this heater core will last another 20 years. And so, other thing to point out, these clips, these tiny little clips, don't lose them, because they're virtually impossible to find as far as I know, other than in a pull apart place. On this side, this one's broken. I used more epoxy. Let's find out together if it worked. Come on. I saw something pop, but it's on there secure. So, okay, well, I would say if you're relying on this video to determine where those vacuum lines go, I would not be too trustful. What I would recommend, though, that if you're taking this apart and cleaning things up, label these. I did not label these, and that was dumb of me, because I think I got it wrong. When I was exchanging fiery emails with the seller of this unit, I took a picture of the unit to demonstrate how it was not the item that was pictured, and I did take a picture and have reconnected the colors based on that original picture, but even that, you know, there's no guarantee that they're right. So you can try it, but don't trust or how do they say? Trust but verify. The other thing that I want to point out is, where did it go? Or did I already throw it out? I must have already thrown it out. Oh no, I didn't. Here it is. So this is what was attached or sitting in the bottom of the compartment for the evaporator. This foam-like, insulation-like padding. Obviously, it is all crumbled and deteriorated. So the new evaporator did not come with anything like this, and so the evaporator seemed to be tilting back a little bit. So I took some foam from the original evaporator here. I just peeled off some foam and I put it on the back of the radiator at the bottom, because water will drip down into the bottom and it drains out here. So I certainly didn't want anything porous down there, and that would rot. So I used some foam to try to get this on a level plane. So I think that's all the footnotes. So, you know, again, here's the box put back together. I am thinking about replacing this device. Let's tilt this over. I am toying with the idea of replacing this from the outset, simply because I don't trust anything about this unit at all. And so I'm debating. It's about 60 bucks from what I can see online, 50, 60 bucks. So we'll see. This bottom vent cover thing's back on. Here's a different look at the actuators on the side, and there's another actuator in here. I put this is referred to, this cover is referred to as the cover for the resistor. So that's back on. The resistor wire isn't done yet because as I said before, it needs to be swapped. The seal is not yet on around the perimeter of the blower, but here's the kit that I referred to before. That'll go on when I'm confident that everything is configured correctly. So that can wait for a last minute kind of a thing. And what else? Is there anything else to show you? Backside of this. Not remarkable, but while we're standing here talking, if you'll bear with me here. Backside of the unit. Am I completely zoomed out here? Yes, I am. Backside of the unit is all cleaned up. There's one of the doors I couldn't remove, but I lubricated it and cleaned it. There's another door here. And then there's door here. This is the wiring harness to the blower. This relay I am replacing. I got it on order. It was $5 on eBay. And and there's another shot of the underside here of the actuator, which attaches here. The only thing left that I have to do before installation is I need to fix this, and that means the hook broke off, as I mentioned before. So I have drilled a hole, and I'm going to get a sheet metal screw, something like that, and I'm going to drive it in there, and then this actuator will be held in place by the screw, because I can't, even though this is a part that apparently you can purchase, I can't get this to come off the door that it actuates, and I'm not going to fight it. I think that the screw solution will work just fine, and that's the route that I'm going to go. So that's it. That's my AC air blower. after it's been refurbished, and fingers crossed that it works out of the box, so to speak, or from the start, and we'll just find out. I guess over here it's a different angle on the actuators, if that helps at all. And there you go. So wish me luck in the installation process, because the whole dashboard has to come out, as I'm sure you're aware, and that's going to be an adventure unto itself. But the way that I view it is that this is the hardest part of the retrofitting of the air conditioning system. The engine side stuff is not going to be all that difficult. Probably the most fiddly is going to be installing the condenser, but the lines, the what do I call it, the dryer or whatever, all of that stuff should be fairly straightforward. Installing the compressor should be fairly straightforward, and I'm looking forward to getting AC in this car. So in the dog days of July and August, I want to run an errand to the local supermarket or whatever. I can hop in the car and stay relatively cool and enjoy life. So that's it. Hopefully this has been helpful to you, and if not, I'm sorry. But onward and upward. See you later. Okay, last word on the Airbox. I just wanted to show you my repair here to this pivot point, because the hook, as we see over here, hooks broke off. I broke this off. It didn't come from the parts guy that I purchased this from, and so I just used a sheet metal screw, and I did grease that up with some PAO grease, which is a plastic compatible lubricant, and I used PAO oil, again a synthetic lubricant, on the moving parts here and here to help these actuators. And also wanted to show you this. This is the blower. Am I zoomed in here? A little bit. This is the blower, the old blower. I'm not going to use it. This is just for making sure everything fits properly. This blower came with the Airbox, and I don't trust it. When I take the old Airbox out, I'm going to remove that blower because it's almost new. That one I trust. I know it's working. But this was just to make sure that it fit, because I did some JB Weld work around the perimeter to stabilize these thin plastic pieces, which the blower fits into, and also this piece, I guess it's too bright. Let me turn my lamp off here. This piece was broken off, probably shipping damage, not sure, maybe not, but anyway, it was broken off. Again, JB Weld, put that on, and I don't know if it's going to hold or not. I did look into possibly putting a bolt through here instead of a screw, so that it would have more clamping force than pulling force, but the underside comes out right at the wall, so there's no room behind here to put a nut and secure this with a bolt rather than a screw. So we're going to just have to take our chances that the JB Weld holds. But this feels quite firm. I'm not going to press my luck here and put a lot of force, but it shouldn't be taking a lot of force here, and I'm done. I guess that's it. The only thing left to do would be to put the foam seal around the perimeter here and also up here, but I'm going to wait closer to installation time before I do that, just in case. I did decide I'm going to replace this. Again, I don't trust the parts that are on here, and there's no easy way for me to test that this works since it's electronically activated. So I decided to go ahead and order a replacement from rockauto.com, not a sponsor. I'm still waiting for the relay that I mentioned before, which should be here in a day or so. It's going to be more than a day before I'm ready to start tearing apart the dashboard in my Jeep TJ, which is a 2001 TJ, by the way. So that's it. That's all I've got to say about the Airbox. I don't know if this is useful to you or not. I hope it's at least marginally useful to you. And if you're going through the same thing, I wish you luck. And onward and upward to the next Jeep adventure. I'll probably supplement this video with another talking points video on the swap out in terms of what I experienced, just because there are already at least several videos on YouTube about swapping out the Airbox, or removing the Airbox, I should say. And so I'm not going to film that in its entirety, but if I find anything that's worth noting, I might make a quick video about it. And that's it. So onward to the next video. See you later. Bye.